Hey there, this is Joe. You are following the test-driven development screencast. In this video, as I promised in the previous one, we are going to be dealing with additional state in the friends section of the app. Namely, because we are showing list of friends there, we want to be able to indicate the loading as most of the apps when they are dealing with lists do by showing the PoolToRefresh. So we are going to be working with PoolToRefresh to indicate the loading and also be able to actually PoolToRefresh to refresh the data. And we are going to be dealing with states additionally on that, so there is a bunch of things to do. So let's focus on the code and let's see what we are going to be doing now. So here in our to-do, I've wrote previously that we want to show the loading, we want to show the error state. So basically those are the two states that we want to deal hopefully in this video. And I think this loading, as I said before, we want to make it with PoolToRefresh, and I think it's gonna be quite interesting. So let's see how that's gonna go. So first of all, here is our screen, and we also have UI tests for that. So I'll split the screens on two. Maybe at the beginning. And here I would like to write additional test to, it's going to be a UI test that will help me make sure that the loading is being shown. So I think we've done this before by introducing a test double that is sort of delaying the whole thing. In this case, we are also going to introduce a little bit what they call semantics in Compose, but they are mostly used for accessibility. So I think it's important to touch on that area too. So I think we are gonna leverage the accessibility in order to the content description, basically, to make sure that something is being displayed. So I would start off by writing the test. Actually, maybe let's write it before. After the show empty friends message, start off with test, and I'll say shows loading indicator. So previously we were doing these kind of tests with the showing the loading, but we are in the timeline, for example, or in the sign up, but we are showing sort of blocking loading that covers the entire screen and the user is not able to interact. For the sign up, that's fine. For the timeline, because it's a list of things, we will have to update that one too. For the friends, I'm starting right away with that kind of thing, with PoolToRefresh. So the application will be still interactable while the thing is like we have that indicator, so we can still scroll and do stuff. So I would launch the screen. I would do no operation, and I would verify that the loading indicator is shown. Now let's go ahead and create a member function in my robot, and in there I would say the rule on node with content description. That this is important because previously I think for the loading we were using the test tag or with tag, and then we were using test tag in the production code. I think now we are sort of applying different approach. Let's see how that's gonna go. Just to make sure that we can leverage this area of this aspect of the Compose where we can actually check on the content description, which is used for accessibility, which is quite important, I think. So I would say here, let's say loading, node with content description, then assert is displayed. Now this loading, this is something I already have. I'll just use the activity to get it as string from the strings, so it will be independent of the current configuration. This is what I need mostly. And now here, I think as part of the setup, I have to replace my user catalog with the one that will be sort of delaying the fetching of the friends. So I need that delay to be able to show that little spinner while while the things are being sort of loaded. Again, I think we touched on this area before. This waiting, let's say of 1 second, is not gonna really wait the entire test for 1 second. It just allows me to have a delaying operation that will actually show the loading, but once the test realizes that the loading is being displayed, or like whatever I'm asserting on, at this moment is just a composable with some content description. Once it realizes that this thing is satisfied, in fact this composable with this content description can be found in the tree, then the test sort of marks as passed, and it's not gonna wait the entire time that I'm saying that this sort of my test double will be delayed. Yeah, I think we are gonna take a look closer now when I'll write it, but just as a little introduction, that this delay that I'm adding artificially in my test double is not gonna affect the time of this test running. So it will run as fast as the others. So let's see here. I would say replace user catalog with delaying. Now I have one delaying user catalog that is in the sign up screen test. Apparently it is not private, it should have been private class, so I won't see it, but it's a good sign that actually I may reuse this. I have to see, first I'll have to see what I'm gonna need and how this test double will be different with the one that I'll come up here, and then maybe combine the two, put them in the well, I don't think that I'll need them in the shared tests where I keep such test doubles, because the delaying one is only relevant for the UI part, for the flows. So I think anyway, it's maybe a good idea to consolidate the both, because they keep the same, they're gonna keep the same business logic in a sense. So it's gonna be delaying user catalog. Let's create class actually here so I can see what I'm doing. I have to override these functions. Let's make it private now. And of course, because like I have to return here, I have to return some data. Basically, the idea is that I'm gonna delay here for 1 second, and this is what I was talking about maybe 2 minutes ago. So this delay of 1 second that I'm adding here is not gonna affect the runtime of the test. So the test, when it realizes that such thing is found on the screen on the tree, it will mark it as passed or not passed, depending on what's the actual assertion, but it's not gonna wait for 1 second. And then I have to return here something like let's say the friends. And then the friends I'll just pass in the constructor. But I think I'm thinking right now I'll have to also implement these functions because they are required for the test. Seems like, let's see, because I'm launching the screen. Yeah, let's go step by step and see. So here I'll just take private, or actually maybe let the studio do the work for me. So something like, oh, this has no type. Okay. So private friends, list of friends, something like this. It's gonna do the job just fine. And now I think I can maybe pass here list of what kind of friends do I have here. I have friend Anna, friend Bob, friend Anna, friend Bob. And that's gonna be basically my test. I think this time I'm gonna run only the tests in this class. I'm not gonna, I'll run all the UI tests later on. For now I think it's just fine to run only these tests here. So I have I think now 4 tests and 3 should pass. Oh no, I have 3 tests. Right? Anyway, this shows loading indicator is failing. Let's see what's the failure. Now I'll have to extend this window a little bit. And operation is not implemented. Indeed, as I was expecting, CreateUser. This is the, so I have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I have 4 tests, and the 4th one didn't even run because the entire suite crashed because of this operation is not being implemented. So here I'll have to return, let's say, a user, whatever, really irrelevant, email about. But I think the followed by should also be implemented, because the implementation depends on who follows whom. Yes, just as I expected. So let's maybe return empty list for now. I think it's gonna do the job. I'm trying to get the state of this test to fail for the reason that I expect it to fail, namely not being able to find the view that I'm, not the view, the composable, because now these are composables. As we can see now, all 4 tests are run, 3 of them are passing, and this just the one that we are expecting to fail does fail. It says exactly 1 node, but couldn't find any that satisfies the content description equals loading. Exactly what I needed. So I'll deal with this later. As I said, I have pretty much good idea as to how to consolidate these two. This test double and the one that I used to have. But for now, let me just close the emulator. I'll also close the test, because I think I'm not gonna work on the test at least for a little while now. And the robot, and here I think add additionally deal with the test double in the UI test, consolidate it with the other one. And do I have something else? I think that's pretty much what I wanted. Anyway, we'll see if I need something else. Now to focus on the on the PoolToRefresh. So what we have right now is we don't have really introduced any class that will hold the state for us for this screen, and all we have is just 2 composables. I mean, this is the generic screen. We have a column that has the title, then a spacer, and then we are checking on the state, and based on the state we are gonna render friend list, which actually is a composable that we created, and then out from this one we have friend item, that is the row in the list. So what I'm thinking now is to wrap this friend list should be sort of a PoolToRefresh component. So let's first see where we are with the commits. Yeah, before I started the recording, I've updated this the Android text navigation compose from 420 release candidate 01 to 240, so just the stable. And I've removed the unnecessary brackets for in the Android test implementation. So I'll just make this little commit, update the dependencies. And I think, do I have something to commit now? I don't have, well, the thing is that I don't want to commit this one because it still doesn't work. So once this works, once I have the implementation in place to satisfy this loading thingy, only then I'll commit. Now, for the PoolToRefresh, I think there is already a library for this. That is the Accompanist. Probably you're familiar with it. The Accompanist is sort of Jetpack Compose set of tools or libraries, sub libraries, like smaller things that we can leverage. One of those is the PoolToRefresh. So there is also like part of the Accompanist that deals with image loading that is based on Coil. It's also something specific for Compose. Those are just two of the things that this Accompanist has. So if I open here the let me open it here. So as we can see, the Accompanist here, as you can see, it has like bunch of things, and one of those is the PoolToRefresh, which is here, SwipeToRefresh. And I'm gonna start with adding this dependency first in my build Gradle, and then we can see how actually here in the documentation how to use it. So let's open the build Gradle of my app, and here I'm gonna add the Accompanist. And for the version, let's check here what's the version. 0.24.1 alpha, which means 0.23, I think, should be stable. Or maybe just use the 24.1 alpha, and if it doesn't work, we'll find a different version. Let's for now sync this and see if it's gonna work or not. If it doesn't, then I'll figure out. I don't really want to use alpha version, but yeah, let's figure that out later. Now for the good part, let's see how to use this. So basically, SwipeRefresh, and then as I suspected, the lazy column should be wrapped into SwipeRefresh, and we have to remember the SwipeRefresh state, passing boolean flag, I think is refreshing, and then what happens when on refresh, on PoolToRefresh actually happens. So here I think we'll have to do, let's first, I just recall, check this in, add dependency to the SwipeRefresh from Accompanist. Good. So I think I want to decouple getting this state or creating this state from rendering my composable. So basically this if here, I want to pull it somewhere. And to do that, I have to introduce a class that will represent my state as we used to do that in the previous screens. But this time I want to introduce a little bit different concept, because later on I'm planning on working, as I have in my to-do as well, like saving and restoring state for process death. And that's something that we are gonna address later on. I think that's important topic. In fact, very important topic to make the applications work and behave as they should. And we're gonna be covering that later, but for now I think I'll just introduce that. And in order to see how that's gonna work, I'll just improvise a little bit. So first, as I said, I want to split these two. That's just a good practice. Or maybe yeah, because like the thing is that this loaded, the loading, as we saw in the documentation, this state is refreshing will have to come from somewhere, and in my case I have it implemented as a object in my seal. So basically I would depend on the state. So I have to convert it somehow into Boolean. So for now, I think let's just come up with a class here. In fact, data class. Then later on, as I'm saying now, I'm improvising, but later on I'm planning to have this as, let's say, parcelable. And then I'll be able to store, to use the save state handle to actually store and restore based on, I mean, for configuration changes, for process dead, those kind of things. So this data class, I'll just call it friends screen state. I think that was the naming that we were using also for the timeline. We use timeline screen state. We have sign up screen state. So for this one, if I'm not mistaken, timeline screen state indeed. So here, this one I'm gonna just call friends screen state. So for now, this screen has the friends. So it has list of friends, which is list of friend, and by default it's gonna be, I'll default it to empty list. And as I said, now we are gonna be dealing with the loading, so I'm just gonna introduce the loading as well. So another value is loading, which is going to be a Boolean, and by default it's gonna be false. So now I can instantiate this class and work with it. So next, what we can do is actually here, or maybe here, first I have to create the screen state, which is going to be, I'll say by remember, and then do a mutable state of friends screen state. So that's gonna be my default. Let's import this and then import the get value. That's what I wanted. Or in fact, this should be variable, because I'll have to be able to, based on my state in my view model, I have to be able to manipulate this thingy. So I also need the import for the get and for the set. So now I'm fine. And now here, I'll take the value of the state of my view model, and I'm already seeing here an opportunity for this screen state to actually be part of my view model, because as I said, I want to be able to keep this into, let's say, into the save state handle. So I'll be able to extract everything from here and put it in my view model, so then the composable is gonna be clean of, I'll just be able to say, okay, just give me the state as value, and based on the value just render something. So that's something for later, as a refactoring. For now, let's put the things here and see how that's gonna look like. Later on, we are gonna be dealing with that, I think, maybe even into another episode even. So that's gonna be my friend state. Now I'll just pull this thing here, and I'll say if the friend state is loaded, then my screen state is going to be the screen state copy, and then when it's loaded, I have is loading should be false because it's loaded, and also the friends is going to be the friends state friends. Then I'll just also add another if friends state is loading, then the screen state is going to be the screen state, then copy is loading equals true. something like this. And now here, instead of having this if, I'll just call the composable, where I'll pass the things from my, where I'll pass the things from my screen state, basically. That's the plan. So let's see, for example, here I have to also pass the screen state is loading, and the friends, so let's say is refreshing, because I think that was the name of the, yeah, is refreshing. Is refreshing equals the screen state is loading, friends is the friend state, not the friend state, rather the screen state friends. And then what else? I think I'll have to also pass this on refresh. I mean expose on refresh what's gonna happen. So basically I have access to my view model here, so I think I'll have to pass also the lambda. Let's maybe postpone the lambda for a little bit later, but for now here I'll just introduce is refreshing boolean. Another thing is compiling, and then here I'll keep the old thing as it is, and then my new thing will be here I have to introduce the SwipeRefresh. So basically I'll just have to wrap the lazy column into SwipeRefresh. Shouldn't be that hard. So here I'll do SwipeRefresh, then the state excuse me, the state should be remember, what was it? Remember swipe refresh state. Is refreshing should be the is refreshing that comes from the argument. That's gonna be the state. On refresh I said we are gonna keep it for now as the to do, and then I think let's see, I have to somehow do this. So maybe just wrap everything like this. So I'm gonna have this if the friends is empty, then show the render the empty message. Otherwise I'm gonna have the lazy column with the items, and then I'm gonna render friends. I think that should work at least. But now the thing is that my test that I have is checking for the content description, and I have to somehow add content description for this SwipeRefresh. So the way to do that is by applying modifier. So the modifier is gonna be modifier, or in fact, let's take modifier here because it's a good practice. So I'll be able to control from outside, from this, for this friends list, from outside I'll be able to control how this is gonna be looking. So modifier, and I'll default it to modifier. And then here I'll say modifier, and then add semantics, and then here I'll say content description is going to be, now I have to say something like the loading. So let's say string resource or string loading. Well, this doesn't work, so I'll have to extract it. here, let's say, instead of string resource, I'll name it, let's say, loading content description. So that's gonna be my content description. Then yeah, I think now we can run the tests and see if this is gonna work or not. It should. And at least we shouldn't break any previous functionality that we have. One thing that I realized in Bumblebee, the new Android version studio, it runs the tests, the UI tests slightly different. So like when I run them, it takes significant time until it deploys the APK and it starts to execute the tests. As you can see. And now it works. So now we have the test passing. We can make a commit and then we can work. We can continue our work. So let's see what we got. So can display loading in the friends list. Nice. Now let's see what's gonna happen with this refresh. So basically here I'll just say on refresh I'll take lambda and then I'll call it from here on refresh. And now here what's gonna happen on refresh is gonna be I'll say the view model of the friends view model load friends for the user ID that you already have in here. Let's run again the test to make sure this didn't break anything, but I think to be able to test this, what I will do is I will run the application manually. I think it's gonna be too much of a hassle to write automated test to actually do the PoolToRefresh and see if that's gonna work or something, or do any assertions. I think it's gonna be easy to just see. Sometimes you just have to compromise and do the thing that way. So first I'll have to create a profile. Let's say email at friends. Oh no. Email at friends.com. Yeah, sometimes it just says that the system UI is sort of broke, so I have to wait or kill it. If I kill it, just yeah, I don't see the system UI and I see nothing, so that sucks. So now to go back, actually I have to use this button. So now I have one profile created. I'll create another. And then in my friends, I'll see a friend, and then I'll see the PoolToRefresh. And now, since the implementation that I'm using is returning instantly, I have this delayed thing only, the test double, that does the delay only in my tests, in my production code. I think if we open the module, let's actually check this in first. Can PoolToRefresh to fetch fresh data. For the sake of trying, if we open the application module, as you can see here, I'm using the user catalog, the in-memory user catalog, and it's nothing, like here, nothing is changed. So if I just add here, when it says load friends for artificial delay of say 1.5 seconds, and then run the app. Oof, yeah, I'm running the tests instead of the app, but anyway, it will deploy this change. Now the test will break because of that delay that I've added, so let's kill them. Doesn't make sense to run them, but the deployed version here is still the one with the delay. So let's see, for example, test email.com, some password. Just notice how much more effort it is to actually insert this data manually, run the application, go through the flow, and this is pretty simple flow, but still it takes so much time. It's so much easier to write this automation of tests once and then run them. So this is just the great thing about the test-driven development in general. So as we can see here now, we have this PoolToRefresh, and it stays for 1.5 seconds, and then it dismisses. So this is just a nice little thing that we have created, thankfully for the accompanist, and it works well. Let's now revert what I've done here and see where we are. Yeah, this is what I was mentioning before about the system UI thing not responding, so I'll have to close the emulator for good and this window, and then if I run again it will continue to work, at least for a little while. So what we have now is, I'll open my to-do. We are showing the loading, but we have to deal with the test double and also show the error state. So maybe let's first focus on the error states and then deal with the test double. And then I think we are gonna postpone the rest, and depending on when we are gonna finish the error states, we might or might not delay this one for for another episode as well. So here what we have, oh yeah, I have to also, as I can see here, this pattern that is emerging here, it was a good decision to have a data class here that I'll be able to manipulate by just saying copy. I'll do the same for the error. And I think this is a logic that we can easily move into the view model and basically use the save state handle to keep the state over process that or over orientation change and that kind of things. Because right now the sign up screen, for example, or the timeline does not support the orientation change and that kind of things. I think we'll have to go back and refactor that later on, or I'll just do that off screen based on the implementation that we are gonna end up here, but let's see how that's gonna go. So now for the error, let's see, first do, yeah, I think we are clear. We have only added a line here, that's fine. For the error, let's go ahead and write a test first. So I'll say friends screen test. Let's move this test double at the end first. Discard the changes from this. Move the test double at the end of the file. And now write a test here that will say shows backend error. Let's see where we are time wise. Well, we're 40 minutes. maybe it's a, yeah, I think we are gonna go, it shouldn't be that much of an effort, but let's say I think we are gonna finish in 20 minutes, so this episode won't be too long. So I'll say launch the friends with the rule, and then do no operation, and then verify that the backend error is shown. I think we have something similar in the timeline screen test, just to verify. So shows backend error, yeah, backend error is displayed offline. So we're gonna do the same pretty much here. Okay, here we have is shown, is displayed, is shown, is displayed. I think mixture. So let's align those. So first of all, let's do this. Is displayed for. Here we have is displayed, and here also displayed. So then we are gonna have aligned names across the code base. And then let's check this in first. So that's the robot, that's the function. So align the function names or the naming across the code. And only then put this test. So shows backend error, verify backend error is displayed, and then I'm gonna do member function. So the backend error will be rule on node with text backend error, or actually let's see what was the naming in my timeline robot. Error message, failed fetching the timeline. Okay, error message, assert is displayed, and the error message is going to be the rule activity get string r string failed fetching the timeline, fetching friends error, and the value should be failed fetching friends, something like this. Nice, now they are both in line. And now here I'll have to actually replace the user catalog with offline user catalog. But I think now the offline user catalog will be offline also for CreateUser, and I think that's gonna make trouble. Let's see if that's gonna be the case or not. I have the friend screen test. Let's run and watch. I'll also have to wait a little bit for the emulator to launch again. It shouldn't be a problem, but it takes time. So my idea, while I'm waiting for this, my idea for the delaying user catalog and to consolidate is that now I have 3 functions in there, and basically I am sending the configuration in the constructor as to what to return for CreateUser in that other test. In this particular test I am returning from the CreateUser whatever, something completely irrelevant, doesn't really matter. What matters is the load friends for, but I need also to be able to configure the delay. I am thinking to maybe for this test double to be able to take functions and then control by functions, suspending functions, what's gonna be happening when, for example, load friends 4 is gonna be called. So I'll have a function, a lambda in my constructor that will be, let's say, load friends 4 lambda, and then it's gonna be suspending lambda, and then from my test I'll be able to say, okay, for the create user, don't delay and return this thing to me, and for the load friends 4, do a delay and return this to me. So I'll be able to control both, and then I'll be able to also say, okay, this function does delay, this function does not delay. It will be slightly more complex thing to, because it's like instead of passing values, passing lambdas, but I think it's gonna be, it will do the job. So then I'll reduce the duplication for my test doubles, and I'll make this reusable. So yeah, I think it's just as an idea. I can keep the duplication if I feel that it's too complex. But of course, the one of the things, okay, this I think should rerun. One of the downsides when working alone is that I have to make these decisions alone. It would have been nice if I was pairing with somebody, which happens in my day-to-day work. But the thing is that I was also thinking about making live streams on Twitch, so then I can ask what do you feel like, how to refactor this, and then we can come up with a decision together. But I think there was no much interest for Twitch, and also usually I can do this overnight when it's night for me, because only then I have I'm able to do things. Otherwise over there I'm busy with the kids. So what it says is it cannot even get to the friends because exactly one node, but couldn't find because show backend error. So this is what happens now. If I run again and watch closely in the emulator, for that particular test, it says offline when it tries to even create the account. I think this is the test that, yeah, it shows offline on the sign up. So let's see. So I say here, replace with offline user catalog. And it shows backend error. Actually, let's do this. Let's try to do this refactoring that I'm saying now, and then see how that's gonna go. That I was talking about. So here I am taking friends, but what if I take private val create user function that is going to be a thing that returns user, and it will I cannot default it because I need a user, and let's try simple for now, but it has to be suspending. I think for now it doesn't even have to be suspending, so I just want to keep the things clear. So what I can do here, instead of return user, I can say return create user function, and this create user function will actually evaluate when this create user is being called. And maybe I can just hard code something for now. Or maybe take here the ID string, email string, about string, And here I'll call with irrelevant. Email about. CreateUser function. User ID, email, why I cannot use this? Okay, let's I cannot access these things like that as I was thinking, so let me just do this. Create user function, then also private followed by function, which is going to be a list of string, and then I can default this to empty list of string, or in fact I don't need this at all. And then also I'll be able to say load friends for function, and that's gonna be list of friend, and by default it will also return empty list. Now what I can do is return here the followed by function, and here load friends function. Now if I make this, let's say suspend, I'll be able now to control which function of these will be delayed, which of them are not gonna be delayed, by simply making this suspend, and then control what they're gonna be returning. So I think now I'm using this only once here, and I'll say that the function to load friends is going to be list of friend is going to be, come on, delay and then get the list, and then here instead of list of, I'll be able to say this one takes create user function, load friends function is going to be my load friends. And then I think if I go to this I have to remove the unused argument, and this should compile. Oh yeah, for the CreateUser. That's also important. Let's actually, for the CreateUser function, for now, this is something that I just wanted to see if it's gonna work, but I'll just put back the user relevant email about, just to prove this working. If it works, then I'll do that. Run the tests. If this works, I'll be able to reuse this test double for the other test, and then say that for CreateUser don't throw error, but for loading friends for, then throw the error and then verify what I wanted to verify. So now this one will fail again because it uses the different test double, as I said. And if I go back to this, instead of offline, I'll say delaying user catalog, and the load friends function is going to be throw, but not offline, rather backend. Come on, backend exception. So only when I try to load the friends, only then it's gonna throw a backend exception. That's what I want. And for the rest of the test, for the rest of the flow, it's gonna, like when creating the user, it's gonna create the user. What we got now? Field fetching friends, yeah. So this is what I was expecting, field fetching friends to be the thing that doesn't work. So now if I go to my, I can close the robot, to my code. Here, I can say, I can introduce here error. I'm thinking now whether this should be string or, let's go with an int for now. And I'll make it even string resource. I'll 0 by default. And then here I would say if the friends state is friends state backend error. In that case, the screen state is going to be the same screen state copy. Is loading will be false, and then error is going to be the friends will be whatever they were before, either empty or if there was something, because this error might happen after PoolToRefresh, let's say. The error is gonna be r string error so what did I put there? Friends, fetching friends error, that's the one. And then here I have to be able to say, because this is a box, then I have a column where I'm rendering the things, and after the column, like on top, info message, where the string resource is gonna be the screen state error. Now if the error is 0, I think info message will handle that for me. Let's run the tests. I think now it should work. And if it does, we have done a good job with the test double and with rendering the state. And it does, so it works well. So I think it was super easy. Nice. Let's check this in first. As dirty as it is, doesn't matter. Like for example, it's delaying user catalog, but it throws an exception. So we have to do quite a bit of naming improvements there. Is friend state, info message, cool. Can display backend error. And now for the last, let's also handle the offline and also do some improvements. So instead of delaying user catalog, I'll say maybe controllable user catalog. Do formatting. It's private here, it's fine for now. So let's check this in, this renaming, improve naming. And now let's write a test. Well, I have to do this with annotation because these ones are JUnit 4 and my test live template is using JUnit 5. So shows offline error. Then I'll do launch the friend screen, no operation, and then verify that the offline error is displayed. Member function rule on node with text are string offline. Assert is displayed. This one should be offline error. Rule activity get string. Offline error. I'll close this. This now works, but I have to replace with controllable user catalog, where fetch load friends function is going to throw connection unavailable exception. These lines are a bit too long. We'll refactor them a little bit. Let's first make this work, and then we'll do that. Okay, all the tests are working except the show offline error, because we are not rendering offline error in our composable. And what we have to do, all we have to do is if friend state is friends state offline, then the screen state is gonna be the screen state copy. This loading is false, and the error is going to be our string offline error. And now we can replace these ifs with when, and then all this logic can go to the view model, but I think in a later episode, not in this one, because we are running 1 hour 5 minutes already. If this works, what we are gonna do is do that little formatting in the test, and I think it's gonna be done. We're gonna wrap up this episode. But anyway, I think it was quite fun working on these things. As you can see, all the tests are working. I think we are having a good progress, and it's gonna be even more interesting to actually pull this data out from here, pull this logic out of here, move it into the view model. I will have to also extract this class. So yeah, I think kind of interesting things to do and discuss later on. But for now, I think we are just fine. Let me commit this. Can display offline, and then I should have been more sort of informative in the commit messages, like can display offline error when fetching friends or that kind of things, but it's fine. Let's see if the formatting here can be improved, and then I think I'll deal with the duplication, like with the test double that I spoke about before, in a later time, like to make it reusable and reuse it in the other place. For now, I think I'll just keep it in this in here. So load friends. Function. So can I do this? No, I have to have this. So replace where load friends function is gonna be this. Yeah, I think this reads fine. It doesn't read that bad. So load friends function is gonna delay and then return the list of Anna and Bob. Then I'm replacing that. That's gonna be the function. I'm making a controllable user catalog that will use this function, and then the indicator is being shown. Other tests are just pretty fine. Memory, the use in memory user catalog, the regular one, and these ones maybe just extract these. Yeah, load friends function, throw backend exception, and here load friends function is gonna be throw connection unavailable exception. That's better. And then I have this class. Okay, good. So I was thinking about this one to move it somewhere else and then reuse across the test. I think for now I'll just keep it, but I'll have this consolidate into, yeah, this one I'll just leave. Show error states is done. Save, and then I think we are done. Let's see if we are green and if we are clean. So here I think I'll just commit this saying improve and now is the time to run all the UI tests and see if everything keeps working. I think everything should keep working, except if there is any flaky test that will appear now. Most of the time those were the tests where we are showing this info message for the errors. Shouldn't be the case now, but let's just verify that. Other than that, all the other tests should work well, and yeah, I think we are having good progress. I'm happy with what happened in this episode. Yeah, as I expected, shows offline error. I think we are not didn't break anything in the test doubles. It's just flakiness of that component that we use for showing errors. And again here. Yeah, we'll have to think about how to improve this to deal with maybe improve the error message itself, or improve the way I'm showing it so that these tests are not gonna fail, are not gonna be flaky. Yeah, but for now I think I'll just yeah, it's 1 hour 10 minutes, it's time to wrap up. Yeah, I think we have a good progress. I'm happy with what happened in this episode, and we have a good also base to continue in the next one. Lots of different things, different approaches. I mean, not that different, but in a way different. I think we can compare now what's better, what's not, especially when we move this logic in the view model, when we'll be able to see how we can, what's the difference between dealing with the states between these different approaches that we have in the timeline, the sign up, and in the friends. And also important topic was the accessibility that we touched in this episode. That's also something that we always have to take in consideration in real production apps. Thank you so much for the time and attention. I'm gonna catch you in the next episode. Cheers.